And we're back. So this process, again, I can't reiterate it anymore. It's definitely a journey for sure. Like, I'm using a new tool and I'm learning its idiosyncrasies, its little limitations, and learning what it's good at for sure. Also trying to figure out how to get my set right. I might have to move this mic over to this side because I always want to look over here because I like this angle. I don't know why. Mainly because, well, I do know why. But so I was thinking about the last episode, and I mean, I actually watched the episodes because I think I deliver the content, and a lot of times the content hasn't been said until the moment I actually record it. Like, I think these things, or maybe it just wasn't there are some new things that are synthesized in the moment of me explaining this stuff. And so I listened to it again to see what I said. And I tried to at least, to listen for what I didn't say. What could I have said more? Or after I've had time to think about it, what could I add? And in the last episode, we talked about grit being a combination of passion and perseverance. There was something that came out to mind, which was, well, you need grit to get through things. You need to find a passion. What if you're in the situation where you're not passionate about what you're doing and your options are kind of limited? You can't really just like jump ship and do something else. Like, what does that really look like? So the first thing I was thinking about really is the case scenario about not everybody. It's almost a luxury. In some ways, I feel like it's a luxury to just follow your passions. I feel like that's a very like first world thing where you have a lot of options. You can go back to school. You can change your career. You can go to these boot camps. You can do all these things. What if you're not in that situation? Like, are you just exempt from being able to develop grit? Are you exempt from being able to persevere through these things? Are you exempt from having a growth mindset because there are a lot of fixed things that are out of your control? And I'm the person that I would love to challenge that belief or that thought. So I did actually look up a few articles just to kind of get an idea, because I don't know. For me, I guess I kind of had a sense of these things even before I decided to choose the career path that I chose, and the subsequent career paths that I've chosen. One of them is just mobile. I find myself in a teaching position and a mentoring position. And then part of my career is mentoring, and I do it a lot in my current job. And, I've helped mentor people into this career. As a matter of fact, I'll be picking up a mentee in a couple weeks, actually. But like, how do you do that? And I wasn't really clear on it. So I looked it up. First article that came up was this article that is called, what was it? How to Turn Anything into a Passion in 4 Steps. And I actually kind of want to look that up again because I can't remember exactly what it said. There's 2 things. I do remember the first 2 things, which was you want to start doing it. You want to learn everything about it, become obsessed, and what's the other thing? Integrate into your life. Okay. The first couple pieces are, I think are good. The third one and the fourth one, I'm going to do another episode on the negative side, the dark side of grit, because I've seen that a lot. It's burnt me out, right? And I think that's very worthwhile discussing, but I thought this was even more important to talk about first. So you may already be doing it, right? If you haven't done it, let's say there's something in your life that you just need to start doing, working out. Well, if you avoid it and you don't do it, there's no way you're going to be passionate for it. There's no way. So if you need to start working out, you have to start doing it. And you might be doing it begrudgingly, but you have to. Then you start learning how to do things, right? I think a lot of our aversions to doing things is just being ignorant to doing them. I mean, you can reason that people cannot be passionate about things that they're ignorant about, like truly passionate about, because you do have to kind of I mean, that's a side effect of the passion, or that's a side effect of learning everything you can about it. Usually, if you find somebody who's passionate about cars, they're going to know everything about cars. In the argument here is that if you learn more about things, you're more likely to become passionate about it because you start understanding it more. You're cultivating an interest, and then you can nurture that interest into a passion. So, for example, working out. Well, if you had somebody teach you how to work out and you maximize your results and you started feeling better, and then you saw like the transformation in your body, and then you noticed maybe you're performing better at a sport or you just feel better, then that loop, that dopamine loop actually gets formed, and you keep doing it again because you like the outcome. But it takes a little bit to get there. I'll give another example about, let's say, folding clothes. I know a lot of people who hate folding clothes. There's a lot of like memes about how like clothes end up on that special chair, just from the bed to the chair and back and forth. Can you imagine if you went on YouTube and you found, and I think I did this. Yeah, if you look at how to do laundry in 10 easy steps, how I do laundry, how to fold, you could do how to fold clothes, how to fold laundry fast, how to fold a shirt in under 2 seconds. I guarantee you're going to learn something new. You're going to want to try it. And then you might think it's fun. So the key here is to start and integrate. And if you're already doing it, you start learning more about things. You start looking at how you can become better at it. That's the other thing, is that sometimes we don't have a passion for something because we're not good at it, or we don't see ourselves enjoying it. And the more you learn about something, the more you may find out ways of seeing it to where you can enjoy it. And I don't know if you're like me and you can gamify it, or if you can reframe it into something that becomes more of a competition, or, you can attribute some value to it. You're going to start wanting to do it more, or liking to do it. And then it becomes, an enjoyable thing to do. The other thing to consider is, especially when you're searching for a passion, or let's say you're in a part of your life, so for example, me, and, in my 20s, there was something that I was doing decent, but I wanted something different. One thing I had to do was change my mindset, and I had to allow space for exploration. And I remember in my early 20s, I did not have a growth mindset at all. I hated money because it reminded me of the things that I didn't have. It was a source of frustration, the lack of it. And I misattributed my relationship with money because of just the way I thought. And of course, I wasn't going to, have anything because I thought in a very small box. And I literally had to take pretty interesting actions to rewire how I thought about things. But once I started doing that, then I, of course, changed my relationship with it. And then lo and behold, I end up making more. And then I'm like, okay, well, how can I make even more? And then I looked for other things that still kept the essence of what I enjoyed doing, but just scaled out. That kind of goes into self-assessment, but really what I'm getting into is like, give yourself time to explore, and then also be compassionate with yourself, self-compassion. Take your time, take breaks, take time to ensure that your needs are being met. Experiment with new activities, but you also have to just be patient. The self-assessment part, though, is really important, because when you make a list of the things you like to do, high level, I like to go skiing. I don't really like to go skiing in any way. I don't think I've actually been skiing in any way, shape, or form. So I can't tell you that I don't like it or not, but I like music. Think about the things that you do that bring you joy. We talked about this before, especially things that, even like things that you're not even doing much, right? Could be full contact knitting. Pay attention to those things. Pay attention to your reactions to others. especially if you feel annoyed or jealous. That's interesting too. The annoying and jealous, because those emotions could actually be indicators of hidden passions in one way, shape, or form. If you're jealous of something, analyze it, look at it, pay attention to it, but really take a inventory of the things that you're good at a high level. And then there are ways of breaking those things down so you can distill the core skill sets or characteristics of the things that you could be passionate about, right? So for me, making music was basically taking an idea and making it work. Could I bop my head to it? Okay, add a melody. Do the melodies work? Or the melody and the lead and all that stuff and the chorus and beat? Do I feel a groove? Okay. Do people like it? That's another way of measuring, does it work? Another part of that is working with people in music. Oh, I want a song that's heartfelt. Look up some chords that are heartfelt. Write a song in it and see if they like it. Oh, well, this is dope. Or make stuff and then shop your beat CD and then start recording with them and, start spitballing ideas back and forth, iterating on those things, tweaking things, really dialing in a sound, going back over and over and over again, pressing play, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind. So when I saw the core things that I did and I was able to see the parallels between that and software engineering, it made sense. And I still got the joy out of writing software. Not exactly the same joy, but it was close enough. So that self-assessment makes it so much easier for you, especially if you distill it down into things that you enjoy, things that you're talented at or naturally good at. But analyze those things and really try to distill it down to descriptors or characteristics or patterns. And when you have those, it makes it so much easier to see where those things translate into. And again, pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention to the things that frustrate you. Pay attention to the things that, especially when you are dealing with a situation where you're in it and you don't really have a choice, take a look at those things. Take a look at why and I'm using laundry because it's a very relatable case, but what is it about folding laundry that just you don't want to do it? And try to understand the feelings, because that will allow you, that'll help you uncover some stuff. And that leads into like the next point of mindful engagement. That's mindful engagement is really what allows you to pay attention to your emotions. It actually helps you do the assessment itself. Right off the top, you might not know what your talents are or what you're good at. You'll have to look and observe yourself, and you'll have to be patient while you do it. The other thing I think is useful is to seek feedback or find communities that actually enjoy doing the things that you don't do, that you know you need to, or that you don't like to. So again, I don't know, like I want to test this because this is something I've been sleeping on. Have fun doing your tax meetup. Huh. There's literally a meetup for that. Making tax time fun, monthly momentum event incoming. Whether you're navigating a tax maze for the first time or looking, create your own. So that's interesting. Making tax enjoyable. Tax preparation groups. So that's that's funny. So you can literally do that. And I'll tell you, if you already find a group that's passionate, you are passionate about the same thing, that is only a multiplier. It's like a force multiplier by far. Last night I had a Zoom meetup, hang out with all of the teachers in our group. Well, not all of them, but a good amount of them throughout the U.S. with pretty much representatives from all four corners of the U.S. in that call. And we're all passionate about capoeira. And, it's reinvigorating, especially because, we're on our own. We have our pockets. I mean, we do train with our mess today, but having that collective to come back, to share, to be vulnerable, to ask for advice, to get feedback, that's priceless for sure. So, and that's also a very good, a very important point is, just like in the growth mindset and in the last episode, seeking feedback is probably one of the most valuable things that you can do to get better at anything. And it could be get better at dealing with the things that you don't want to deal with. Like, I really want to make this an experiment as an icebreaker of in one of my next meetings, what is your favorite way to fold clothes? Just to see what happens, to see if it stimulates somebody's interest in folding their clothes who didn't want to, or doesn't enjoy doing it. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I feel like this was kind of jumbled because, again, I didn't script this. I'm just kind of like, I have a couple things written down that I wanted to talk about, but I'm just letting it flow. So really, if you are challenged with, starting something that you need to do, working out or doing more of, you just get into it, learn about it, get help, get advice, do the feedback, build a community. The first and the last thing, they actually kind of play hand in hand. Be compassionate with yourself overall. You're not going to develop a love for doing mundane things that you don't like, that you haven't liked traditionally or historically overnight. But if you go in with the intention of trying to transform this into something you enjoy, you need to be patient with yourself because, again, it might not happen overnight. When you're trying to find new passions, make sure that you do a self-assessment and you try to distill it down to characteristics of the things that you like doing. Go one level down. Pay attention to your emotions. Those could be indicators of passions, both negative and positive. Because if you feel strongly about something, it can go either way. And then mindfulness, of course, really watching, and again, like I mentioned, you need to be mindful through your interactions with things because it helps you identify. It's the vision within yourself to see the content that passes through your body and your mind and your heart and your soul. Mindfulness is the key to seeing these things. So that's what I got. The next episode, I know exactly what we're going to talk about in the next episode. The next episode is going to be talking about the dark side of grit, where grit can turn into obsession, lead to burnout. There's a lot of things that we can do to kind of mitigate that. And we'll talk about what those are. Trust me, I've seen the dark side a lot. But thank you for hanging out. If you like the content, of course, like and subscribe. You hit the bell to get notified when I drop new content. And I'll see you on the next one.